Members, there's just I'll do the minutes of the last meeting of the 12th of March. If members are content with those minutes, I'll sign them into the record.
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you. Members, agenda item 3 under matters arising. We have correspondence from Mr. Hugh McCloy. And it's at pages 11 to 15 in your packs. Mr. McCloy has wrote in relation to Save the Mid on relation to patient waiting times in A&E departments. I also raises a number of issues with regard to figures provided by the Department of Health in terms of the capacity of A&Es to cope with patient numbers, the acute care model applied, and whether waiting time figures are being manipulated. As I say, pages 11 to 15.
Chairperson, can I suggest that, rather than giving a total hearing in terms of what he believes is the outcome, that we actually just ask the Controller and Auditor General to look at it and let him look at it with his view, as opposed to
Yes.
we all are familiar with this guy, and he's a campaigner, and I think there's nothing wrong with campaigning where you believe in a subject, but I think the more we read what he's saying on the public record before we get it substantiated, I think it's unfair to everyone. So I think the Controller and Auditor General.
Kieran, do you want to come? Yeah. Members, just for your information, we considered similar correspondence from Mr. McCloy back in June of last year. So, Kieran, do you have any comments to make on the correspondence?
Yeah, well, I'm more than happy to look at the figures, and I suppose these are particular figures in this are January 2014. Obviously, January is peak of winter pressures. We have publicly reported on, I suppose, figures come back in time over the whole system, and we'll continue to do that. But I also plan to do a report on acute services, which would touch on fitness, and I'll embark on that next month. There's a bit at the end of this about the charge of manipulation. I know I have no evidence from any other source of figures being manipulated. You could contend that some of the figures are so far short of the target, there wouldn't be much incentive to actually manipulate them. But we do know from England and Wales sometimes there has been manipulation. So that's something that I'm alive to, and we'll take into account in the forward work programme.
Okay. Members, to make any comment, or we're content for Kieran to go forward with that? Yeah. Members, are we content to send this correspondence also onto the Health Committee?
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, agreed. Thank you, Kieran. Members, at pages 16 to 15 are papers from the Finance and Personnel Committee in relation to the Civil Service HR Shared Services. The correspondence relates to commissioned research on the shared service deliverable HR Connect, and the Finance and Personnel Committee has asked that we forward the associated research paper to the Audit Office for information, and it is for information to ourselves and to further it on to Kieran. Do members or yourself, Kieran, want to make any comment on the paper? Or are you content to note it?
No, it is an interesting paper, Chair, and there's some points in this paper which are very similar to the points we were making, and the committee will be making it in its report on account NI. So the HR is got many similar features. I think your draft report is up, in the next few weeks, and when we're looking at your draft report, it might be worth considering whether any of the recommendations are more generic, go wider than account NI, and would read across to other shared services. So there is a lot of commonality in issues. The big point coming out in this report is the lack of baselines to actually judge performance. It's exactly the same in account NI.
There's similarities.
There's similarities.
Yeah. Members, are we content with the information Kieran has given us then?
Yep.
Great. Okay, members, page 59 in your packs also is correspondence from the Charity Commission in response to our letter of the 3rd of March. Our letter is at page 60, and can I remind members that this issue is one that we cannot at this stage discuss in open session. Are members content to note the correspondence and await the outcome?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, members. Members, also at page 61 in your packs is correspondence from the Assembly's Information Standards Officer in relation to a request for information pursuant to a Freedom of Information Act that relates to our May 2012 report on the Bioscience and Technology Institute. Are members content to note that correspondence at page 61?
Yep.
And that we revisit this request when the response has been drafted?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, members, we'll now move into closed session to discuss the issues paper on pupil attendance inquiry. Agreed to move into close.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland Assembly